I want to start with what I saw on Showtime on Saturday night. Tavoris Cloud and Gabriel Campillo. It was a very good fight. It was a very well-executed fight by both camps. However, in the first round, tell me this, Robert, Tavoris Cloud, could that be the only round that he won with 2 knockdowns of Campillo?
I think he might have pocketed a couple of others. He might have stolen the 6th, and he might have grabbed one of the championship rounds. But there was certainly no way he could have been judged the victor of that fight.
115, 111, Gabriel 116, 110, Tavoris 114, 112, still champion Tavoris.
Tavoris Cloud came into this fight undefeated. He leaves undefeated. It is certainly a cloud of doubt, you could say, over the decision. How much did this home cooking go into this decision?
Well, I think the home cooking had an enormous amount to do with the decision. I mean, there were several factors. I mean, Cloud's the champion, all right, so immediately a certain amount of doubt falls upon the challenger. The challenger presumably has to beat the champion in order to win. Except in this instance, the challenger, Campillo, did beat the champion, and he should have won. But, of course, he didn't, and the judges' scorecards were way out of line. Now, the fact that Cloud is promoted by Don King could be a factor. The fact that the fight was held in Corpus Christi, Texas. Texas is always a factor whenever fights are held there. So Campillo didn't get a fair shake in this fight. There's no question about it. Cloud walks away with his title intact, but he certainly didn't deserve to.
Let me ask you this. I mean, for a lot of people, this was their first time seeing Tavoris Cloud fight. And he came in as, you know, one of the bigger names in the light heavyweight division, aside from Bernard Hopkins and a few others here or there. And for a lot of people, this was their first time seeing him. It certainly does not seem like he showed a lot of people what he is made of and that he can get hit repeatedly, round after round after round, wouldn't you say?
I would say, but that's exactly what Tavoris Cloud is made of. He has some power, but if he can't fight a boxer, the game is not called power, the game is not called knockout, it's called boxing. And if you meet somebody who's an exemplary boxer, and Campillo certainly put on a clinic Saturday night, Cloud wasn't able to adapt. He wasn't able to adjust. He kept hoping for that sort of Hail Mary that would end it once and for all, but it was a Hail Mary that never came. He had his chance in the first round. Campillo, to his credit, pulled himself up off the canvas and continued to fight his fight. And Cloud never really made the proper adjustments. And the judges, I don't know whoever they are, I don't know what fight they were watching, but they weren't the fight that you and I were watching.
Certainly not. Campillo now 18-3. Only 6 knockouts to his credit, which is pretty surprising because he is a big guy. He's very, very physical. And were you a little surprised throughout the fight that for his size, he threw a ton of combinations?
Oh, he did throw a ton of combinations. He's a good boxer. He's a good fighter. Power is like a gift from the gods. I mean, not everybody has power, but it doesn't mean that they're not a championship caliber, and it doesn't mean that they can't beat a champion without power, which is exactly what happened in Corpus Christi.
How much of an impact did he have then in this decision, do you think?
I think he had an enormous impact on this decision. I think that if Cloud was not being promoted by Don King, Cloud probably wouldn't have won the fight. But as it was, he did, and I think probably if Cloud, God forbid, had been carried out on a stretcher, King would have found a way to have Campillo DQ'd. I mean, Cloud is his money fighter. There aren't that many fighters in King's stable these days.
But he's not even a money fighter. That's the thing. He's not a money fighter. He's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. But I don't see him competing with the Chad Dawsons. I'm sorry, I don't.
I agree with you. But again, we're looking at a broader perspective. We're not looking at the specific fighters that are in our stable from whom we can make money if their record remains undefeated. Right? We're looking at it objectively. We're using a wide-angle lens. All right? King is using a microscope. All right? And the microscope. I mean, Cloud is his money fighter. He doesn't have that many fighters in the stable. Cloud had to win so that Cloud can actually get yet another payday, be it by hook or by crook. And when he's done, Cloud will be King's janitor, or King's work on the lawn. I mean, this has happened in the past. This is not a sort of subject for debate. I mean, this is a reality.
Could it be because Gabriel Campillo is not a bigger name and he's not a prize fighter that Tavoris Cloud has been built up to be with the media and those involved in the boxing world? Could it be because they want to save a possible pay-per-view for him to face one of those better upper echelon fighters in the light heavyweight division?
Oh, yes, it's certainly possible. But if you look at the people that Cloud has fought, I mean, he hasn't really fought. He hasn't really fought A-class, A-class fighters. I mean, he won the vacant title from Clinton Woods in 2009. He fought Glenn Johnson, Fulgencio Zuniga, Yusuf Mack. I mean, where are the big names?
Decent names, but not great.
No, these are not big names. I mean, he has been a protected fighter, and to some extent, and basically, he will be a protected fighter until the time of the big pay-per-view fight comes, be it with Dawson, be it with Hopkins. But he hasn't proven himself, and by the looks of it, he is incapable of improving himself.
I agree.
I mean,
I completely agree.
Okay. So we're on the same page on that, Rick.
I mean, we are. I mean, I guess it's because of the mediocrity that's in boxing now and in each division, and maybe there's too many divisions. I mean, I've had that argument many times. But he's not, look, obviously he could kick my ass. I mean, that's obvious. But from the outside perspective, he's not one of those elite fighters. He's not a prize fighter. So if he were to make it on a pay-per-view card, I would hope he would be on the undercard.
Well, I would think so, but again, there are a lot of other promoters who really won't deal with Don King. Bob Arum has no interest in dealing with Don King. We know the Klitschko's don't want to deal with Don King.
Why is that, Robert? Why is that?
Because he wants a piece of the opponent's action for future fights. Like when King was promoting the Russian Giant, the Beast from the East, Nikolai Valuev, and there was talk about him fighting one of the Klitschkos, who the Klitschkos would have frankly destroyed, because Valuev, although he was big, was not really very good fighter. But he wanted a piece of the action for the Klitschko's next 3 fights.
Is that allowed? Is that allowed?
It's allowed. It's boxing.
I know, but I mean, a piece of his next 3 fights.
I mean, it's allowed. They weren't going to have any part of it, however. They weren't going to sell parts of their future to him. Why should they? As
well as they shouldn't. I mean, that sounds ridiculous. That sounds like an absurd. That sounds like an absurd thing to bring to the table, and I'm not surprised now. Let me ask you this: what could be next then for Tavoris Cloud? Who should he face? Should he try to improve his skills, go back to the drawing board, or should he go for the big fish right now?
Well, he's got to go through the big fish right now. I mean, his skills, he's not going to improve his skills right now, in part because of his age, because he is where he is in his career, because he has the attitude he has as a professional fighter and as a champion, and because he's with King. And he's not the first fighter who's joined King and whose career has nosedived. I mean, can we say Mike Tyson? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. All he can do is sort of hope for a big payday, but he's not going to be a pay-per-view attraction. He may be a pay-per-view attraction as an opponent for somebody, but again, I mean, his reputation took it on the chin Saturday night.
Do you see him ever being at that level, like that pay-per-view level? Do you ever see him getting to that point?
It's hard to imagine. But people, there's a sucker born every minute, and one can sell, if one's a good salesman, one can sell, snow cones to Eskimos. And King is nothing and not a good salesman, and there's no telling what he might be able to put together.